So when it comes to church planting, because that's what kind of I'm in the field of church planting and pastoring, obviously, but whenever you're starting a new church, the first thing I always recommend to people is, before you get a building, before you figure all the other stuff out, is get a website. Get a website, a domain. You should have a name, of your church. You think about the name and get the website. And their website builders are very easy to use now. You don't have to hire anybody professional to do it. If you have any kind of internet ability at all, they're real intuitive, so you can just make a simple website that has where, when you get your service time, put that on there. A pastor once recommended to me that if you have any old sermon videos from other churches that you've preached at, put them on there so people can see you and see what it's about. That's really the thing. When people are looking for a church or looking for the Lord or looking for whatever, they go to Google first.
Welcome to the Stoke It Up podcast, brought to you by the Calvary Global Network, where our mission is clear: to preach the gospel, make disciples, and plant churches. I'm your host, Alan Stoddard. I'm joined by my co-host, Kenneth Priest. Together, we dive into conversations that inspire, equip, and challenge the church to stay on mission in today's world. Today, you're going to love this. Today's episode is one I've been looking forward to for quite a while. We're joined by Pastor Brian Kelly, the lead pastor of West Church in Bradenton, Florida. We're talking about digital ministry, specifically how pastors can leverage social media, websites, texts, and email to connect with the church family and to actually make disciples or help discipleship happen through these venues. How essential are these tools? How can leaders use them effectively, especially when time and budget are tight? Well, it's a timely topic with real practical takeaways. You're going to love this. Get a pen and paper out. You're going to want to take some notes. Let's jump into the episode, and we would love to know what you think about it. Leave us a review. Share this episode where you can. Let's join Kenneth Priest and Brian Kelly as we jump into this digital ministry topic. Well, all right, everybody. I'm here with Kenneth Priest and Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, within the Calvary Chapel movement, guys, is no stranger. If you don't know Brian, you need to follow him. But I know him from New Mexico, and the Calvary movement have just become brothers in the Lord through the Cultivate Church Planning Program. Expositors Collective's about to go out there, and the CGN team and all of that. But let me welcome you guys back to the Stoke It Up podcast first. Good to see you, Kenneth. Good to see you, Brian.
Hey,
Glad to be here.
Good to see you, Alan. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it, Brian, because I've been like pilfering off of your ministry as far as social media goes. One of the many things I've noticed about Brian is his use of social media. And I've been following West Church since they were doing church on the beach and had no building at all, which is everyone's jealous of that. But I noticed the approach to social media that led me to think that pastors need to learn how to streamline and communicate often and well without it being a major burden. And I know, Brian, that you have thought these things through. So first, I appreciate you letting me do this to you, with you. But also, thanks, brother. It's going to be good because everyone can learn on this. So Brian, let me just jump in with this question first. Tell us about your basic philosophy. What were you thinking back then for social media use? What's your motive? And what does all that look like?
Yeah, whether we like it or not, social media is part of our culture and our society now. Everybody's on there from young to old. And so if we want to be in the marketplace and in the community, we prefer to be face-to-face and just meet people as we're going to the store and walking along and in our jobs. But a real easy way to meet people and to communicate and to invite people to your church is through social media, through the internet, websites. There's lots of ways to really utilize the tools that are available that people are already on to kind of open the door to church. And it's interesting you asked about like the like why we're doing this and kind of some thought behind it. And I was just I can't remember if I was on social media watching this, and the guy was talking about churches, how a lot of times it's churches are just using social media as kind of a sales pitch. And so it's almost like they're using it as just kind of a advertisement feature. And so what I would say, and what we've kind of really tried to do, and we're no experts, by the way. If our listeners have tuned in to get the utmost experts on social media, I'm not he. I'm just going to share my own personal, stories about it. But we've started using it as not just a, hey, come to this event, or hey, visit at this church, or this is our service time, but really to use it as a means of encouraging people and ministering to people and kind of serving people rather than just seeing it as a method to serve the church. So, we put our we always put our sermon recap on there. There's a gal at our church that her name's Kadria, and every week she said, "Can I help you with this, and can I do this?" And so every week she gets my sermon notes and she makes little Instagram slides that have the passage we studied, the main points, and kind of the design of the sermon series that we're doing. So we've really we're not using it as much as we could, so I would say that, but we have started using social media a lot more, not just to advertise our stuff, but to just kind of minister and encourage the people. And and I know you have some more questions, Alan, so cut me off if I'm talking too much. But by the way, I'm going to repost this on the Cultivate podcast, and I usually don't get to talk a lot on that one. So I'm usually asking the questions, and the other person talks a lot. So I'm going to take my chance here to talk a lot.
That's
but anyway,
exciting.
cut me off if you need to.
No, we will, but I want you to, man. I think this is a very much needed topic.
All right.
Definitely.
Yeah. So,
Let me lean in with that a little bit, Brian. As you're talking, also expand. You've mentioned the Instagram side, but is that the only platform you're using? So talk about how you're using various platforms if you're using others along with that.
Yeah, good. So when it comes to church planting, because that's what kind of I'm in the field of church planting and pastoring, obviously. But whenever you're starting a new church, the first thing I always recommend to people is, before you get a building, before you figure all the other stuff out, is get a website. Get a website, a domain. You should have a name, of your church. You think about the name and get the website. And their website builders are very easy to use now. You don't have to hire anybody professional to do it. If you have any kind of internet ability at all, they're real intuitive. So you can just make a simple website that has where, when you get your service time, put that on there. A pastor once recommended to me that if you have any old sermon videos from other churches that you've preached at, put them on there so people can see you and see what it's about. Because that's really the thing. When people are looking for a church or looking for the Lord or looking for whatever, they go to Google first. They go to, now they're going to AI, and AI's, taking that spot. But anyway, you have the website. So I would say number one is get a website and make it doesn't have to be, have all the bells and whistles like you would at a church that's been around for a while. But at the very least, the information about you, if you're meeting somewhere, where you're meeting, what are the times, ways that people can connect with you, what is your vision, what is your mission, what are your values. Vision, mission, values should be on there, because that's really what people are wondering about. They want to see all that. And then also, if you have any sermons or links to even churches that are, that have mentored you or that you've been sent out from, to say, this is our home church, we're going to be similar, that kind of thing. But then you go into the social media platforms. Facebook is a huge one. There's different demographics that are on different platforms. And again, I'm no expert, but in my experience, it seems like probably the older crowd are on Facebook. I don't know what that says about me, because I'm still on Facebook. But I was talking to a gal at our church the other day, and she she didn't even have a Facebook account and didn't even know how to use it, you know. So then you get to Instagram, and pretty much everybody is, if they're on social media, they have an Instagram account. And that's a real effective one. And then, of course, TikTok is a different one, and it's for, you know, the younger, and, you know, even some of the other, you know, kind of side ones. But those are the main ones. And we, you know, we don't do like I said, we don't do a huge amount on all these platforms, but I think there's certain, like, go-to things that you should be doing every week or at least every month that can really help your church through using social media. But website is a start.
So one of the things I know is that you use MailChimp. Let's jump on that for a minute. Because I did not know how to do any of this stuff. Now, it's not rocket science. Anybody can learn it, to be real honest. But there is a little learning curve, but there's someone who can walk you through it, and you can get there. So you have like a prayer button in that email. You have a connection card in that email. You have things like update your information in that email. Talk to us about MailChimp and how you envisioned that in the beginning, because you've been doing that since the beach, Brian.
Yeah, and that's right. And we, like I said, before you even start meeting, these are things you need to have in place, because when people start coming to your church or to your Bible study or your prayer meeting, however you start out, you want to make sure to have a connection with them. You don't want to just have them come and then leave. And, you know, you remember that one lady that looked like this, or that one guy that had a, you know, funny hat or whatever. You don't want to just use descriptions of them. You want to have, if possible, a way to contact them so that you can build a relationship and follow up and, you know, see if they need anything and all that. So what we do is I'm trying to think of how deep we want to go with this, but I'll just kind of give you the world, not the World Wide Web, but the church wide web that we've weaved before starting our church here in Florida. Our church is called West Church. It's in West Florida, West Bradenton. And so with MailChimp, it's more effective when you start with, number one, your website, and then number two, we use a database software called Planning Center. And Planning Center, you're probably familiar with that. A lot of churches use Planning Center. And it's a way to keep track of people and addresses and phone numbers and things like that, but also connecting them to small groups. And it's a lot of features on it. And our listeners, if they've been involved in church at all, they're probably familiar with Planning Center. But when we use MailChimp, so MailChimp is a separate software that is for sending out emails, and it does so without, you know, the emails getting caught by spam. Sometimes it does, but they go through all the checks and balances, and you can upload or connect your Planning Center database. Everybody who's put an email into your Connect card or church or anything, that will automatically go into MailChimp. And when you get into MailChimp, you can create a template. We have a template for prayer requests. We have a template for weekly updates. And it basically will send it to that segment of your church that if they've signed up for prayer, they're going to get a prayer email every Friday of the prayer requests from the church. Everybody who's got an email, unless they've opted out, is going to get a weekly update email. So when you get into MailChimp, what I do is I have a template, and it has our church name. It has, it's called West Church Weekly. So we just put the date, and then it usually has like a couple of paragraphs from me just saying, hey, I hope you're doing well this week. I just want to encourage you, because remember, we don't just want to invite people to stuff, use it for people to serve us, but we want to serve them through all this stuff too. So, I give them a little encouragement from the passage that we're going to be studying on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday. We're going to be talking, we're going to be in Revelation chapter 7, and we're going to be talking about this and that. And let me just encourage you that, God is going to care for you, and no matter what's happening in the world today, that kind of thing. So I put a little bit about that, and I also put a link in a video link to a YouTube short, and I record this on my phone. This is what you're talking about, Alan. So I get my phone every Friday. I don't have a professional camera. I don't have a studio set up. I just, wherever I am, in the morning usually, because I want to get it out before the weekend, I get my phone and I do a selfie video. And for a while, it took me a while to get used to this, because I don't like recording myself, looking at myself, hearing my sermons, any of that. So you got to get used to talking to the camera and just, being outgoing, even if you're not by nature. But if you're a pastor, you should be outgoing, I guess. And I record that video, and it's under a minute. You keep it under a minute. You upload it to Instagram, because Instagram stories are, sorry, not stories, but the Instagram post on the Reels. Yeah, Reels. That's it. Thanks, Alan. See, you're an expert. So you upload it to
following
Reels.
You guys.
And that's, if it's under a minute, it's either it'll feature, shorts on YouTube Shorts. That's the YouTube version of Reels. If it's under a minute, it'll turn it into a short, and that means it's going to just play in the feed of the YouTube user. So I upload it to Instagram. Actually, before I do that, so see, we've already started on this. I have an app that I use. It's called Captions, and you can get it in the App Store. There's a lot of apps that do that, but I caption the videos first. I record it. I put it into Captions. It captions the video, and that way, if someone doesn't have their audio on their phone, which a lot of, especially young people, don't, audio's never on, or it is on and it's on too loud in the middle of the living room. But that's another story. And I put the captions on there, and I upload it to YouTube Shorts. I upload it to Instagram, and then I go into MailChimp and I link that video, and I put a video. There's a thing that it's real, like you said, it's real easy to use. You can just say, I want to put a video in here, link it to the YouTube, and there it is.
It's like a click and drag block.
Yeah.
And you drop it, put the link, and it's there.
Yeah. So it's easy to use. It takes a little while to get used to it, but it's easy to use. And once you have that template, every week, I go to the last week's email in MailChimp, and I think it's called replicate or duplicate. I just duplicate it. I change the title. I change the video. I change the message content. But then it has all the links, the button links to prayer, Connect card, give online. We put a giving button in there. And so, it kind of all integrates together. And then you just get kind of a workflow I do it on Friday. You could do it any day of the week. And I just have a workflow of what I do is I just record the video. I put it in there. I do the captions. I upload it to Instagram and YouTube. And then I link within MailChimp, and I send it out to everyone from our email database within the church.
That's good. Let me ask a question with all this that you're doing, and actually it's going to be two questions because the first one is an implied, right? So do you find this to be effective? And the immediate response will be, well, you wouldn't keep doing it if you didn't. But in finding how are you measuring that it is effective in order to benefit that you're going to keep doing this? I mean, why keep doing it if it's not effective, right? So you've got to have some sort of benchmark that you're using that says, hey, I know this works because. Yeah. So tell our listeners, why does this work for you?
Yeah, well, there are analytics that you can go in any of these programs. MailChimp, it'll show you how many people received the email, how many went to, bounced, and then how many were opened. They can even tell you how many were open. So, and we have about 60% open. That doesn't mean they don't look at it, because the way it works is their email program will often block images. That's one of the reasons why they block images, is so that people don't know what's going on. Privacy, I guess. Yep. But you can look at that in MailChimp. You can see who's received it, who's if it's getting rejected by their mail server or platform or whatever. And then you can also go in the social media, YouTube, Instagram, all of them, and you can see views, you can see, accounts, you can see that sort of stuff. I just do it because, to answer your question, that was kind of you can look at the numbers, but I don't really necessarily look at the numbers as much as I've had people come to me on a regular basis and say, look, I'm really glad you're sending this weekly email out. I really appreciate when you get on Instagram. What you said really encouraged me, and I was having a rough day. And so it's the personal, interactions that I have at church. That's why
it, right? It's the story
Yeah,
that you're getting back from the stories you're putting out there.
exactly.
That's more important
Yeah.
than the numerical analytics that you look at.
Yeah, because you could have, I mean, who knows what those numbers even mean? Are they bots? Are they people from that even looked at it? You know, you never know. And
Is it
those
Alan
stories-
Stoller trolling you and just
Yeah.
trying to get ideas for his own
Yes.
sermons and all? You know,
Oh, the answer to that's yes.
Well, I know I got at least one open from the emails from Alan. That's for sure.
So
Every week.
I can tell you, being someone that's watched Brian and Nick Cady and a couple of others, but mainly these guys, is people want to be connected. They appreciate. To me, the email is the hardest one because it's just another email task. But I can tell you, people want to stay connected. They want to, and they're busy. They're busy like everyone else. And that email comes and they need reminders. They appreciate the reminders. We're making it easy for them to pray. We're making it easier for them to give. We're reminding them of their value. And one thing we haven't said that I've seen Brian do, I've seen Nick do, I'm doing it, is we can shepherd people in a very soft way through these venues.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing.
You have one on there that says, you have a button on there that I haven't used yet, but it says something like, hey, if you see a need, doesn't that have something to do with food or ministry?
Yeah, because we were at our church, and you know, our church is a pretty new church. We're almost 4 years now, meeting on Sunday mornings. We've been a little over 4 meeting on the beach, but about 6 months in, we started meeting in a building like a regular. We're a real boy now, so. But the most frustrating thing is when someone says, "Hey, did you hear about so and so? They lost their job and they're really struggling," or "Hey, did you hear that? You know, Margaret's in the hospital," or whoever it is, and it's like you don't know, and no matter how much you kind of want to know what's going on, I got frustrated. I'm like, well, we're just going to announce it. We put on it's just a form in Planning Center. You can make them really easy. You can make them for everything. And it
Now,
says,
I will say, I would recommend this. I had to ask for help from someone here locally, a brother who's a youth pastor, to help me with creating those forms at first, because it can seem very not natural. It is natural. It really is easy to use, but you will save yourself some brain pain by asking for help and say, "Hey, would you show me how to do this?" Brian, talk me through how you do the video and then move it to text in the email. What's your philosophy and method there?
That's a hack. That's a secret. So, okay, I'll reveal all. And for the sake of the listeners, I'll tell all. So I record that video and I put it into the caption, you know, and it captions it so then what I do is I upload it to Instagram and YouTube, and I go onto YouTube and I copy the YouTube video link. You can do this with any YouTube video. And there is just a second, I'm looking it up right now. There is a website. It's called youtube2text.org. youtube2text.org, and you copy that. It's a free service. You just copy that link in there, and it'll give you a transcript of the YouTube video. So, all right, here's where I tell all. So I take that transcript and I've already thought out, planned out, prayed about what I'm going to say on the video. So it's the content is coming from me, and I'm communicating it through video. Now I want to take that video and turn it into a couple of paragraphs for my email newsletter, because writing is different than video, as we know, and audio is different than both. So I take that, I put it into, I use AI, I put it into ChatGPT, I take the transcript, and I have a whole folder where I say, look, I want this content and what I've said and what I'm trying to communicate to be put into an email format. It takes that video that I've spoken. It's already transcribed, so we don't just want to have the transcription because it's clunky to read. And what it does is it cleans it up, puts it into an email format. I paste that into MailChimp, and then that's what that's what I send.
That's good.
Now I hear Brian. Can you hear him? He's like, okay, I'm gonna say I use AI, but I don't know if I should. But I've been doing this, and let me tell you, it's totally legit because
We all do.
yeah, but here and yes, and here's the reason because you've thought it through, but unless you've done it, when you get the YouTube to text summary, it doesn't come out like an email.
No, it doesn't.
And so
It's just a
what
big block
all
of text.
AI is doing is taking exactly what you said
Yeah.
and making it into an email, and then you have to read it, of course, and
Yeah, you gotta
and
double check
massage it. It probably will do better English than I will do, but it keeps it streamlined.
Yeah.
The email is streamlined, and you're saying the same thing on the video as you're saying on the email, as opposed to if you didn't do that, you would be tempted to say things that are too much in the email.
Yeah, so what I used to do before all this is, sit down and kind of write it out, and then it takes time, and that's the one thing we're kind of pressed for, especially when it comes to all this stuff is time. So I'm like, I don't need to do this twice. Let me just kind of monitor what's, this process and send it.
How much time does it take you in a week? How much time do you spend?
To do this, to do all the
Yeah.
it's much faster now than it used to be because you get in a rhythm and you get a system. So for me, I mean, if I'm being honest here, so tomorrow's Friday, right? This is Thursday. It takes me a couple of 1 or 2 or 3 takes to do the video because you can do it as many times as you want. It's just your phone. And I've gotten used to kind of doing that. And COVID, that was one of the benefits of COVID. We all got kind of used to talking to the phone and the camera and everything. So you talk to it takes me maybe 5-6 minutes to do the video. I sit down, I upload it to the caption. It captions it out. That probably takes another 10-15 minutes. And then I upload it to YouTube, upload it to Instagram right there on my phone. I don't even transfer it to the computer or anything. I just do it all on my phone. I do MailChimp on the computer because MailChimp on a phone is a pain. So I go to the computer and I sit down and I do the transcript from the YouTube video, which is already uploaded from my phone. I just go right there. I get that transcript, I put it into AI, clean it up, paste it into MailChimp. So all said and done, I can do it Alan, I can do it in less than an hour.
And think about all that people touch,
Yeah.
that reach.
Yeah. And like I said, it's, just what Kenneth was talking about. It's those stories of people who are like, because you know how it is. You're scrolling through your Instagram or you're on Facebook looking at something stupid. You're looking at bunny rabbits jumping on the trampoline or something dumb like that. And did you see that?
I did.
That's AI. That's AI. It's not real.
Yeah, that's what Gina said.
There's a
It
bear,
broke my
too.
heart when she said that. I was
I
like,
know.
oh, man.
I know. I
I
thought
can't
it was
tell
so
what's
cute.
AI and what's not.
Nobody can. Yeah, it's bad. But anyway, and then they say, well, I was scrolling or I was just looking at something and I saw your video come up, and not only does it remind them of church, that's a secondary benefit, but it really, if you say something that it's like your sermon when you're preaching, you want to communicate God's love, you want to communicate His word, you want to say how Christ matters in your life today, and it's not Sunday, so it almost takes them off guard, and they say, wow, it's Friday or whatever, and they're getting an encouragement about their week or whatever it's about.
Let me ask you a question outside of technology, but it's going to relate back to technology. What's the demographic of your church? You've got a church plant. What's the makeup?
Mm-hmm. Our church has got a nice mix of old and young. So we have Florida's a retirement place, and we're Bradenton is a retirement community. But I would say we've got I think we have 3 main groups in our church. We have young adults / young married people. Then we have young families, so they're already been married. They have 2, 1 to 3 kids, little kids under the age of 10.
2.7.
Yeah, 2.7. And then the next, which probably I would say might be our biggest it'd be interesting to look now because the church is changing a lot over this last year, but is that older, 55, 60 plus
Yeah.
group?
So now let's bring technology into that because you talked about, okay, Facebook predominantly older and younger. The youngest are obviously TikTok, and
Yep.
then you have the middle majority are this Insta kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about the feedback stories that you get. Is there a predominant generation that are the ones that you're really reaching with this, or are you really hearing from everybody?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say the majority would be the older group within the church.
Okay.
And
Are I was
that's
going to are you moving this onto Facebook as well? You haven't really talked about that.
yeah.
is,
So I should have thrown that in. I wish I would have kind of printed it all out. Sorry about that, Alan.
That's okay.
But
No.
it's
I have it. I've been writing it down
Yeah.
for you.
So when you go on to on Instagram, it's the same company, Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
So when I upload the Instagram video, I click upload to Facebook also.
It's
Now,
auto and
And I also do that in MailChimp because MailChimp will send an email as a social media post to Facebook. I don't send the
Yeah.
MailChimp to Instagram, but I send it to Facebook because it has the whole content of what, kind of a little bit more than what I was saying on the video kind of thing.
yeah, that's good.
And so that also gets posted to Facebook. So and then it's like and in YouTube too. So on our church YouTube page, we've got a lot of people that are snowbirds. Snowbird is a seasonal person that comes down for when it's nice and leaves when it's not so nice. So they leave in the hot summer. And so even the older generations are used to using media as far as video for live services. So we still have a lot of people that watch every Sunday
That's good.
That's a
from
great
Ohio or wherever. And so
Yeah.
they know about YouTube, and so they're getting updates on their YouTube. They follow our church YouTube channel, and so that same YouTube channel that we live stream from is the one that I send the updates from. So they're getting that too.
Which just kind of as a commercial there for people to think about, if you're in a culture that has these seasonal transitional families, telling these stories is great because if you've got that little give button on your website, they're going to keep being faithful to give when they're
they
hearing
do.
the exciting
right.
things that's going on. And so it's such a neat. The reason I wanted you to address that aspect of it, of Facebook and how easy this connection is for that pastor that's sitting out there right now going, and I don't know that I can do this. I mean, this really seems like way too much. But the reality is, if you do these couple of little things, the others are automated for you.
Yeah,
All you have to do
link
is
together,
click
that's
the
right.
button, which is great. That's
And
good.
I would even say on top of that is maybe you don't know how to do it and you can't figure it out, but I guarantee you there's someone in your church that can do it. And a lot of my friends are getting, even the young woman that does our, sermon updates, she monitors the Instagram.
Yeah.
So even though I could do it, I don't do it all.
And not only somebody that could do it in your church, just like you have this young lady that comes up to you and says, let me help you do this. You've got people in your church that want to do this. It's not only they have the
It's their
ability,
passion. They love
they
it.
have the desire.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to connect with those individuals and let them help you do what needs to be done here.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
I've made a list and I will put that in the show notes and have it separate in a Google Drive doc for anybody that might want to go, okay, because I can tell you I was listening. I was like, okay, that's overwhelming. There were a couple paragraphs that Brian started unleashing. I'm like, yeah, it's overwhelming. There's some of
You
this
asked.
that overwhelming. But I can tell you this, little by little, it's nowhere near as overwhelming as it sounds. And once you
That's
get
right,
it set, it runs itself. So I will make like a checklist for that. I wanted to add that I've noticed one thing I noticed about you and Nick and Mike Neglia, is that you guys will do that video and you don't try to announce everything. You announce maybe one priority thing, and most of that 60-second video is, hey, this is what's coming this Sunday in the preaching. And I love that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how you decide what to announce and the preaching.
That is a good question, Alan, because that's one that I think about every week. And I don't really have a set format, like for the first 20 seconds, I'm going to talk about this, and for the next 30. But I usually do talk about what's going to happen on Sunday, because I really think that, gathering on the Lord's Day, gathering together as a church, what we're going to be talking about, I want people to get excited about that. And also to read ahead, I tell them where we're going to be and what we're going to be talking about, and where they can read ahead sometimes. But I'll usually, if we have an important announcement, I'll put that in. Like if we're coming soon, we're going to start up community groups, and we're trying to get leaders for our small groups, And I'll just say something about how, hey, we'd love to have you. On another note, we'd love to have you be part of a community group. It's really a blessing to your faith and all, et cetera, et cetera. So if there's an important announcement, I'll put it in there. But mostly it's about what's coming up in the sermon, and then I'll do like a mini sermonette about how people can be encouraged by that. There was a preacher, Sandy Adams, Calvary Chapel preacher, and I lived in Georgia for 2 years. I'm not from the South, I'm from the West Coast, but we lived there when we first got married, and I used to go to his little pastor meetings. I was a very young man. I wasn't a pastor at the time. I wanted to be. And I remember him telling the story about how he used to have a radio spot that was only a minute or a minute and a half. That's all he could afford, or that's all they could give him or something. So that's how he was able to really think about his messages and think about what do I need to say and what do I not need to say, and how do I say this to where the most effect can get into that 1 minute time slot. And I never forgot that, and that goes for social media too. It's like we don't want to hear no one wants to hear Pastor Brian ramble on about this and that. I mean, a few weirdos out there, maybe Alan would like to hear about me rambling on, but no offense. Not that you're weird or anything, Alan, but
I am.
Okay.
We know it.
And then, but it's like we need to get to the point. What do we need to say? And if I say, sometimes I'll record 2, 3, 4 different times, and then I'll just think, you know what? Let's just go a different route with this, and I'll just speak from the heart. One week I didn't talk about the Sunday service. We didn't talk about announcements, and I just, said, there's a lot going on in the world. I think, something had happened, and it was like one of the wars started, and I just encouraged them and said, gave them a verse and that sort of thing. So
that's good. Hey, real quick sidebar. Where in Georgia were you?
Athens.
Yeah. UGA.
UGA. We live right down the street from the stadium. So a little junky house. We first married.
Nice.
Kenneth's in Georgia.
Hey. Yeah, we loved it there. We loved it there.
I just finished a certificate as a certified financial planning certificate with the University of Georgia. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, our firstborn son was born at the Athens hospital there.
Nice.
So.
Very good.
Well, I will put all of this in some show notes. Brian, I can't thank you enough, man. I know you're busy and a lot's going on. I'll see you in a couple weeks at the Expositors Collective at Calvary Chapel, St. Petersburg. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And on the show notes, Alan's going to add how to follow you on social media so that people can check you out.
Well, I just hope people aren't too disappointed. Like I said, I'm nothing special, but I just feel like consistency and just adding those few little elements are really helpful with church planners, especially.
That's good. This has been a great talk to benefit pastors. If they'll take and follow through with this, they will get. This is just like you think back when you were a young preacher, right? You would spend a long time preparing that sermon to preach on Sunday morning. You've been doing this a while now. It doesn't take you near as long as it used to.
That's right.
And the same thing is true with technology. It may take you a while the first few times you do this.
Yeah.
But once you get in your rhythm, in less than an hour, you'll be able to knock all of these things out.
That's right. And I'll invite your listeners, Alan, and our listeners, if they want to find me on social media and send me a message on there, I will reply, and I'll help as much as I possibly can. So.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, me too. I'll be the underling. One bonus question. Would you say that email is still king? That it gets to people easiest, it's guaranteed. Used to be email was the guarantee.
Yeah. Email, I personally don't like email, but I know that I don't know all the statistics, but I would say probably, because it's at least when you're at work or you're having to do things with important matters or whatever, it's probably when it comes to like kids having fun or entertainment, no, but if it's like church stuff or business stuff or work stuff, I'd say probably yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, but
Kenneth
what do I
Priest,
know?
what do you think?
Yeah, well, he hit it right on. I mean, there's things that just business wide you have to do an email and communicate. But what you might consider doing is adding a text messaging service that you can click on. So like MailChimp, you can send MailChimp out as a text message with a link that takes them to the web version of that. So you're going to hit a broader audience when you add in that text message with it. Because let's face it, I mean, I've got 20 something nephews that I have to literally call them and say, open your email while I'm on the phone, read this email while I'm on the phone. Okay, either hit reply or tell me in person what you want, what your answer is to this, right?
Yeah.
So we know they're not reading email. They never look at them unless we figure out a way to drive them to it. And the text messaging helps us do that.
Yeah, and I know this is the end, Alan, but we also use a text messaging service. So if we have a beach service or a cancellation or something special happening, we have a messaging that sends out to the church.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you use that a lot, Brian?
Not really, because I know people hate getting spammed with stuff.
I've seen those texts.
Emails and text. Emails is not so bad because people kind of just ignore them anyway, like you said, Kenneth. But with text, you want to make sure it's really important of what you need to communicate to send.
I can tell you, my church overuses text messaging.
No one wants that.
We get way too many, or my wife does. Somehow I've been blessed that my phone has blocked every single text message from the church. I never get them. But she could get 3 or 4 texts a week, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's too many. We probably
nuts.
send 1 or 2 a month.
Yeah,
see, that's good.
I had not thought about that. I get them for the men's Bible study if it changes or something from West Church.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's
Brian,
a segment. That's not to the whole church. That's just the men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the service that you use, Brian, for texting?
Oh man, I think it's called Clearview, or Planning Center used to have it in there, but it wasn't working right and it just wasn't as good. This one you can text back, so you need to find one that you can text back, because when people are asking questions, you need to be able to text them back. Planning Center didn't do that.
I usually have not used text because it costs money. And before we check out, let me just give a recap real quick. The things that are going to cost you money are your website, which is not that much money anymore. Planning Center, depending on how many people you use it for and what you use, but it's really not overly expensive either.
Yeah.
And texting. The rest of this, everyone, is going to be primarily free.
Yeah.
Right. Unless your base gets too large, MailChimp will start charging you based on the number of emails in there. But as long as you're talking about a church plant getting rolling, you're going to be good.
And we've started paying that. It's called Clearstream. That's the text service we use.
There you go.
Okay.
Clearstream on the App Store. And it does cost. You're right, Alan. It can be expensive if you're sending them all the time, but if you need to send them out, it's pretty reliable, and it says who it's from, and so no one has to guess.
Excellent.
This has been
All
great,
right, guys.
Brian.
Yeah.
We lit this topic up. I think this is great. Thank you for letting me do this, Brian.
Yeah. You've been wanting to do this for a long time, Alan, and we finally made it happen.
Between you and Nick Cady, I'm glad you guys haven't blocked me yet. I'm like, okay, I got podcast ideas.
No, they're good. They're good, Alan.
It's been so helpful for me, really. Our people right now in a new church plant, they appreciate the communication.
Yeah.
So thanks for letting us have you on the podcast, on the Stoke It Up. You guys check out the Cultivate podcast when it comes in and share all of that. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
All right. Thanks, Alan.
God bless.
Thanks, Kenneth.